SQL is a structured database. It's like it has a schema. It has to follow specific schema for you to push something inside the database or delete something from a database. Not like NoSQL, a database which you learned in WebTech, which is MongoDB, which you learned last semester. Where you don't need a schema, you don't need to have particular things to be put in. You can put in how many ever things you want, whatever things you want, into one database or table. In SQL, there is you can have multiple databases, and each database has tables, and each table looks like an ordinary table which you draw or use in a normal life. So in each you can have multiple tables in a database. One for example, if you're doing an e-commerce website, one table for the products, one table for the users and passwords and things like that. So it can have as many as columns it wants. So there'll be ID, name, username, and then password. Each of these columns must be filled for you to fill something in the database. If you add a user, it should have all these requirements for you to put it in the database. Then only you can enter. That's the schema right there. Are you following me till now? Anything? Am I going too fast? It's fine, right? Okay. Once we know how this database works, we are going to. Okay. There is this website called Hacksplaining. We'll start with that. SQL Injection. Yeah. This is the basic website to get started on SQL Injection, and it shows step by step what everything that happens in very basic SQL Injection. There's a vulnerable web application. We have to try to hack using SQL Injection, and here are the logs. Usually the logs don't appear, or sometimes if you have an automated a code running to display the error on the screen, it might output your SQL errors too. So I go ahead and try anything I want, any username, any password, and I click on login. So we can't directly do that since it needs authentication. Now we try any username, and when you type any password at the end, I'll give a closing single quote or a single quote, and it said an unexpected error. And if you see the logs, this is the exact error returned by the SQL database and not by the backend PHP code. This is the exact error returned by the database. So this is the thing, and this was my password. This was my email. So the query goes something like this. So this is a SQL syntax error. So this query here, is it visible, or should I zoom in a little bit? Yeah, okay, it's fine. So here the query starts. Select star, which means everything from users where email equal to this and password equal to this. What happened here was when I gave an extra single quote, it threw a error. So the quotes needs to be need to be balanced. The quotes need to be balanced, and it was unbalanced here. So it threw an error. So we know what kind of database is working here. Enter the password and watch the code window again. password. Yeah, so that's what is happening here. It was balanced. You can see the next one working, but when you put another single quote, the thing was not balanced and it threw an error. So we go to the next step. So this is one of the basic SQL injections. So when you select star, and if it returns true, it will return everything in the database in that particular table from users table. So if you check any username and I give or 1 equals 1 minus minus, so here I'm closing the previous query, or space 1 equals 1. I'm closing the previous query and I'm giving an OR, and 1 equals 1 will always return true, and the double line hyphens will comment out everything next to it. So this is like a comment for the SQL, and this is exactly what gets passed when I click on login. Yeah, it returns everything from the database. Authentication details confirmed, establishing session. So this is basic SQL injection. I would like to show another method with when you don't need to comment and need to balance it. So you give close the previous query, or when you do 1 equals 1, the closing quote is already there. I only need to give the opening single quote. So the thing is automatically balanced and don't need to care about the next statement right there, and I click on login, I'll get the same result. So this was a very basic SQL injection. So we'll now go to union based attacks. Yeah, so there is this box called B box. It's by I'm not sure who. If you Google BWAP, I think you'll get the vulnerable application instead of the whole VM. You can set it up on your own machine with your own database, but BBox is easier since everything is set up for you and it's running on a virtual machine. Do you have any doubts till now? Anything? Everyone fine with the speed? Okay, so this is your BBox VM running. I'll start the web app. So this is the vulnerable web app. So here you can create a new user. I already have a user inserted, I think. Okay, so one of the things, this is a very old virtual machine. You don't really need to balance it out. You can just comment out everything if you don't want to get into balancing it. But before you actually start balancing, there is one thing you should be careful of. If you go to Hactrix SQL Injection, you need to know what kind of quotes they're opening it with. Should it be exact same thing which you type? Anything in the same format. So the query which the hack-splaining worked, it started with a single quote, right? Now to close the previous query, there are multiple ways to open and close a query. So for us it was a single quote, so it started throwing errors. When it's it can be double quote, a backtick, a single quote with a closing bracket, so it can be any of these. You have to try each of these till you get and in order to fix the query, you can input a comment in the end. So you add a comment in the end and keep giving these inputs till you see an error, and once you know that that is the particular closing query, you just need to insert this and insert your payload and then comment out everything. So these are the special type of comments, and this is for MySQL, this is for PostgreSQL, MSQL, Oracle, SQLite. So this website has all kinds of injections for everything. Was I clear with your doubt? Or very okay, cool, nice. So yeah, we'll go for BWAP. BWAP is a very old system, so it might need little bit of configuration, layouts, USA. It's still not working. Yeah, so we have it up and running. Once you create an account and log in, you will see HTML injection. We'll work with get request for now. Wait, was it search? SQL injection. Yeah, get search. So we have something here, and no movies were found. We need to know every movie in the database, current table. So we go ahead with do the normal thing, or 1 equals 1, and comment out the rest. There are only these many movies in the database currently. So we'll start with union based injections. First thing, you need to know how many columns are there in the database. Like I showed you, these might not show how many columns are there in the database, so you have to start by statement order by 3 and comment out the rest. Make sure you have it copied because the query disappears every time. So order by 3 gives no error. That means there are 3 columns, at least 3 columns. So we don't know the upper limit. So we keep doing this. Let's start with a bigger number. And it gave me an error. That means the column numbers didn't match. So there are not 10 columns in the database, but lesser. It's between 3 and 10. Let's put in 8. 8 is not also not the number. Put in 7. Okay, so we have exactly 7 number of columns, and we don't know which of these columns are being displayed here. So we start with the union based attack. So this is how it usually goes. If you go to the beginner chat, check at the pins, there is an SQL injection cheat sheet. You scroll up, yeah, you have this. So let me paste it in the intermediate chat. I'll paste it here. You have any doubts? No. Okay. So I have like a text prepared, so you can copy paste with ease. Yeah, so I already have something here, and I'll copy the first thing. Since we know there are 7 columns, we need to cover 7 columns. Yeah, so union select 1 2. This won't work because column 1 is selected and some other column is selected. It usually goes like this. So if you put in 2 columns, it'll tell that the column numbers didn't match. Select statements have different number of columns, so we need to fill until we match the number of columns. So 4 5 6 and 7 in 7 columns. Once you feed in 7 columns, you'll get 2 3 5 4, and they might not be in the particular order, but you know which columns are being displayed once you feed all the 7 columns. So what we'll do is we'll change the second column with the database name and close the query, enter your payload, and you see that we have the database name now, bwap. Once we got the database name, we can go ahead and explore what are all the tables present. So this is the syntax, database tables. What? Yes, so we'll modify it according to our needs. So we add a closing quote, and then from 3 to 7, so we have table name 3 4 5 6 7 from information schema dot tables, where table schema equal to the database name. We have the database name. It needs to be within the quotes and the comment. So we have our payload here, and we paste it. Now we know these are the tables: blog, heroes, movies, users, and visitors. Is everything clear up to this point? Is there any doubt in this payload? Anyone else? No doubts? Oh yes. So it's 2. Usually it's 2 here. So to confirm the number of what are all the columns being displayed. So this was our payload. So union select 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 and comment it out. So you see the last entry here says 2 3 5 4, and we can display anything we want within these columns 2 3 5 and 4. So instead of 2 here, we'll replace it with what we want to see. So the database, this particular statement returns the database name which this website is currently using. So when I put this payload in, or wait, we'll have this in 5, the third column. So you can see in instead of 5 there is bwap. So that's our database name, which currently stores all this movie names and their release and characters and all that. Was that clear? bwap is the database name. We didn't put anything there. Okay, cool. So it needs to be in exactly the same it is case sensitive, so it needs to be the exact same. But your query can have whatever case you want. That's why sometimes when the queries are sanitized, like they want to prevent SQL injection, they just prevent all caps, but that doesn't prevent the whole SQL injection. So that's why you see here there is one capital, one small, and one capital. It can be have any case. It just depends on how the inputs are being sanitized in the backend. So we have a database name. We replace it with the database name there, and we take our payload, put it in, click on search, and we have our all the tables which are there. So out of these, which is the one you want to explore, or which one particularly is considered vulnerable? Which one of these do you want me to go ahead and look? Okay, yeah, users, because users have info about the users' accounts which are currently being leaked everywhere by hackers. So users, we go ahead and look at the, so once we have the table, we need to look at the columns. We'll take the payload, modify it according to our convenience. Column name 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. From information schema dot columns, where table name equal to, we need to give our table name, which is users. So we now have our payload ready. So inside users there are all these columns: ID, login, password, email, secret, activation code, activated, reset code, admin, UID, name, pass, all these things. What currently I am interested is login, password, and secret. Secret is something when you lose your password, it asks a secret question where you answer it, and it'll let you in for once and change the password. So one of those things. Now we know what columns are there. We can go ahead and access them all. So we have our next payload, selecting data from the table. So here you don't need to enclose it anything in quotes. It's directly, so we know the column name, users, table name, the column name. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 fields here, so I can display 3, 5, 4. So 2, 3, 4, 5 are left up to me to fill in whatever I want. So the second, instead of 2 I want the login names, and instead of 3 I want password, and instead of 4 I want secret. And then 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So the table name is users, and the comment line. So we have our payload ready. So now you can see that there are only 3 users right now: AIM, its hash, and the secret. B, the hashed password, and the secret. I didn't fill anything in 5. And secret. Oh, that was my secret when I created the account. Just secret. Do you have any doubts till now? Do you want me to explain a certain payload? Any one of them which you didn't understand? We have time till 5, so if you have any doubts, just clear it off. Nobody's going to get mad. Okay, I'll assume no doubts. Yeah, so now we have the this is how basically union based attacks work. So sometimes you do not have the liberty of having these many columns for your display. You will have only one of them there where the limit is put. So instead of you having to display everything in different columns, you can have all the things display in one column using the syntax concat or group concat. It can be any one of those. If I put it like this whole thing will replace the 2, which is the first column, and then we need to match the number of columns. So comma 3, comma 4, 5, 6, 7 from users table. Once I copy this payload and give it there, you see everything is here, but there is no spaces in between them. So you can have your own delimiter there, like a hyphen or a colon, anything which you like. Yeah. So you can see the password and username, and there is a colon in between. There is a colon between the secret too. Since you have the attended the cracking hashes, you can go ahead and crack this hash and tell me what kind of hash it is and what is the password. So there is more to this than just union based attack. There are time based attacks, there is blind SQLi, and there are much more harder challenges. There was a website called leadtime.net in which I demonstrated the union based attacks last time, but it's been brought down for some reason. I don't know why. So that's why I'm using this BWAP. So I'll move on to SQL map from here. Do you have any doubts till now? Yeah, so any doubts till now? Okay, cool. So sometimes when you're hacking into boxes, you don't have time to go through each attack. It can be a time based attack, it can be a blind, you're going in blind. It can be a time based attack, it can be a union based attack, so you don't know which one to do. So there is a tool called SQL map which does everything for you, and it gives you the results. So you can have SQL injection through post request too, not just get request. I did demonstrate NoSQL injection last time, and if you want to do NoSQL injection, there is also a website for that. I mean the same website with different section. So you can go ahead and refer this for NoSQL injection cheat sheet. Since most of NoSQL happens in post request, so you just replace it in the burp. Okay, on to SQL map. I can close this VM. So SQL map minus h. Let's look at the options we have. You can start from the first. So help, advanced help, and URL. The thing, first thing you need to do is give it a URL where it has to attack, and it'll go through everything, all the kinds of attacks. It has to usually that's what happens if you just give the URL, and yeah, that's what it does. So sometimes you might be logged in, but you need to search the database. You can also give it a cookie. Yeah, is my Discord running? Yeah. Real situation. You have created a web app, right? Recently using MongoDB MERN stack. Yeah, so you can go ahead and try NoSQL injection on that and check how secure is your own website. But won't just attacking everything be too noisy? Yes, it will be noisy. So there are options. You can either go Tor network and do that, or you can do a stealth type of scanning, which you do it level by level. So you have the level of test here, the risk you're going to take, the risk each test performs. So you can adjust that, and so I'll show you one thing. So last time we tried to do Edmodo and captured intercept from Edmodo burp. So let's try the burp again. So I have the intercept on. Wait, what just happened? Yeah. So the intercept is on. And I check perp has captured an intercept, forward. So yeah, so this is the whole data which is being sent to the database, to the backend on their servers. So what you can do is one of the features of SQL map, you can capture this whole thing, copy, and then you have a document called login.request, and you paste this. So what you have to do here, you have the everything here. You open up the terminal, you do SQL map -r. This is the request file. Here you can give in the request file. Yeah, so SQL map -r, which specifies the request. Login.request, and you can also specify the parameters which you are searching for. For example, username and then password. this will give you only these kind of similar kind of columns it will search for, and the tables, everything through the whole database. And then if you're working on Hack the Box or Wallen Hub, you can go ahead and increase the level 5 and risk 3. And then minus batch. What minus batch does is it when you run an SQL map, it'll ask you in between, do you need to run this, that. There'll be breaks here and there. If you do minus batch, it'll automatically give all the defaults to it and start running the scan. And then you can do dump. It'll dump everything onto a file in the same directory. Now, since I gave the login request, it automatically scans Edmodo's website. It'll look into this, look into the host, everything. And I think I have to stop it here. It's running a blind injection because I think it's illegal to do that. Yes, so that was one of the things which SQL map can do. On coming to how you evade being noisy is once you give the URL, you can start with enumerating only databases. It'll give you databases, current DB, through the databases, and you select the database and then run a scan through tables, the specific table which you want, and then you select the table and then enumerate all the columns. And in the end, you'll finally have finally have everything you need, and you can just run it in one command, and you'll have what you require, and not just blindly run the scan through the whole server or the database. Was that clear? Any doubts till now? Vihar, do you have something to add?
No, nothing.
Yeah, I think that's all for SQL map. For the assignment, I've given try hack me's. I think it recently got added an SQLi room. Yeah, so if you did not understand anything from what I said, or if I was very unclear, try hack me in this room has a very detailed version in text for every task there, so you can go through it. So you have the introduction just to deploy, and here is the first task where it gives you an introduction to the query. This is how the query is in the backend, and your payload, how it works, and all that, everything. So this will be the assignment for this week, the try hack me SQLi room. So yeah, that's it.